Hey everybody, Jordan with TYT and TYT Politics. Hope you're doing okay. I am coming to you from Portland, where it is very, very nice, very, very sunny, beautiful, hipster capital of the world. A lot of hippies, a lot of hipsters, and fine progressives. So happy to be here to work slash vacation for a week. I'll be heading down to Florida this weekend to cover Tim Canova's race against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, which is the topic of this report here. So yesterday, if you missed it, if you're in Florida or around the country, there was a debate between Tim Canova, the law professor from Southern Florida, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It was on a local CBS station in Southern Florida, and it was on at 8 in the morning. So obviously Debbie Wasserman Schultz agreed to that, so as many people as possible could watch, just like her organization of the presidential debates between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. So I am on the West Coast, so I didn't see it live. I've watched after the fact. And, I didn't think it was possible, but Debbie Wasserman Schultz made Hillary Clinton look like a very specific and somewhat genuine individual. And I don't say that to even be sarcastic. She really is one of the most political talking point machines I've seen in covering politics. She expertly weaved around pretty much every question that was asked, gave no specifics, kind of leaned on the fact that, tried to lean on the things that would be important to members of that district. It's Florida's 23rd district. A lot of senior citizens, a lot of Jewish people, which I'll get to in a minute. But first, I got to say, if I'm keeping things real, Tim Canova, who I've interviewed twice, I'll probably interview when I go down there, he did come out a little bit flat during the debate. As it went on, he performed fairly well. It was an hour debate, so, adjusted for commercial time, about 48, 50 minutes. But in the beginning, the first issue was obviously the DNC leaks that showed Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the DNC pulling the strings for Hillary Clinton all along. So I want to read you some of the quotes that kind of stood out to me. So when asked about it, when asked basically about what does it say about you and the culture that was created there, that people felt very free to put in emails and to put in motion efforts to try to sell the media on negative stories about Bernie Sanders, pretty much do what you can to help Hillary Clinton. Doesn't that kind of come from the top?
I'm very proud of my tenure at the Democratic National Committee. When the President of the United States asks you to do anything, it is a tremendous honor, especially when you've been asked by the President to watch his back, help bring him across the finish line. I was a key part of helping President Obama get reelected in 2012, and the work we did to prepare for Hillary Clinton to be our nominee and then make sure that we could get her elected president is absolutely critical to advancing the issues that are important.
I just want to say,
I think that's a bit of a Freudian slip. She kind of wants people to believe that what she means by that is the work they did, as the DNC, the infrastructure-wise, to help, now that Hillary Clinton is the nominee, help her, have the best shot possible to win in the general election. Obviously, we see they weren't just helping the Democratic nominee in general, they were helping Hillary Clinton become the Democratic nominee. So when she's talking about, the work we did to prepare for Hillary Clinton as our nominee and then make sure that she can get elected president is absolutely critical to advancing the issues that are important. She's basically saying, yeah, we did a great job helping Hillary Clinton. And by the way, she was appointed as DNC chair. Hillary Clinton obviously was Secretary of State. She was appointed in 2011. But the fact is, she should have never been allowed to stay on as DNC chair if Hillary Clinton was running for president. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was Hillary Clinton's co-chair of her campaign in 2008. So what does that say about you? Minor conflict of interest. Then she deflected now to the favorite talking point of establishment Democrats, which probably came right from her, because the DNC, before the staffers had to resign for the leaks and all that, they were pushing this stuff about Russia, and it probably came from her because she was still chairwoman.
The DNC suffered a 21st century Watergate. We were the victims of Russian espionage who stole private emails and our data.
First of all, there's no proof that the Russians stole this, this material. Even if there were, that's not the issue. I mean, cybersecurity and these things are an important issue, but that's not the main issue here. So it's like, if I wrote in an email my plan to kill someone, would that be the important topic? Or would it be, oh shit, Vladimir Putin hacked it? No. So she's trying to deflect there by, this propaganda that the Russians hacked us, and this is the, this is the cyber security version of Watergate. It's nonsense. It's complete deflection. It's complete distraction. And she's hoping that people in her district, particularly seniors, don't care. And frankly, she's probably right about that. I think, obviously, that's more of a national issue. It really, pushes the buttons of Bernie Sanders supporters, and frankly, just a lot of people on both sides who think she's corrupt and who think the Democratic Party is a bit corrupt. So I think, her dodging about the Russians and this and that is nonsense.
But it wouldn't make it, you're not suggesting that if they were just kept secret that those emails would be okay.
Well, no, what I'm suggesting is that it likes Sony, who suffered the same fate, and that, we have had a lot of cyber attacks and an increase. There's no organization that, when their private emails faced the bright hot spotlight, private emails are just that, private emails.
So basically, she's saying, she keeps on stressing these were private emails. So frankly, no matter what the content was, they were private emails. So I think what you're getting there, again, deflection, distraction. If this was a Senate race, it would be a much bigger issue. The fact that it's a congressional race in, Florida's 23rd district, obviously the people watching are more focused on issues pertinent to that area as opposed to nationally. So a couple other things on the emails that I thought were interesting. The moderator, who by the way was awful, and from people I know in Florida, told me that he's pretty much in the tank for her. Jim DeFore is his name. He never really pushed back on Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Just let her keep deflecting, going on to her talking points.
It does appear now very clear that DNC staff from the emails were coordinating with your campaign staff in terms of monitoring your opponent's movements, even coordinating statements that the campaign was going to be released, was being run through and through the DNC staff and its advisors. Is that appropriate? Is it appropriate for you to use DNC resources to monitor your opponent?
Let's be clear. This is the 7th time that I have asked voters of the 23rd Congressional District to support my candidacy and for the privilege of representing them. I know how to run my own campaign. I didn't need anyone to help me. We've done just fine. I've won every election where I've been on the ballot. I would hope that staff who I work with would be interested enough, care about me enough, and be interested in my political success, that they would try to be involved in a way. But at the end of the day, there were not only no rules broken, but that type of intangible effort on the part of a political... No, Jim, let me finish my answer, please, because you asked a question and you need this answer. That type of intangible, incidental activity is completely legal. It follows our rules, and there was absolutely no violation of the rules or the law.
So that word vomit is essentially saying... she kind of contradicted herself in 2 sentences. First, she says, I didn't need any help. I didn't get any help. And then she says, I would hope that my staff loves me enough that they would want incidentally or intangibly to help me. But that doesn't break the rules. So it's, again, total deflection. And frankly, I got to be honest, Tim Canova didn't go against her hard enough. When you're dealing with these professional spinsters on the Democratic side, obviously there's plenty of them on the Republican side, you got to cut them off. And you got to, Chris Christie, I don't agree with Chris Christie on anything, but he expertly, in one of the debates, when Rubio was spinning his wheels, robot Rubio going on the same talking point 4 times, Chris Christie said, there we go again, the same script.
And let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. But I would add this. Let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Facts. Here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly
what he's doing.
what he's
The memorized 25-second speech.
Well, that's the reason why this campaign is so important.
That was kind of needed. And Tim Canova, like I said, kind of came out a little flat. Maybe he was trying, since he was introducing himself for the first time, kind of play things, straight down the middle. But with W. Wasserman Schultz, I mean, you gotta kind of, start digging at the robot. So she starts, the wires start misfiring a little bit. And he didn't do that. He progressively got better. So, I thought she was basically saying, we didn't break any rules, but I got a little help. No big deal. Well, why shouldn't I? I want my staffers to like me and want to help me. On specific issues pertinent, I think, to Florida, the moderator asked, about W. Wasserman Schultz would not support a ballot measure 2 years ago for medical marijuana in the area. Why she didn't support it? She kind of waxed and waned on a specific provision. Now, does she support it? Who knows? She wouldn't give a straight answer.
2 years ago, you opposed and criticized the medical marijuana initiative that was on the ballot. Are you supporting the current initiative that's on the ballot?
Well, I look at this issue as from the standpoint of being a mom and a cancer survivor. Certainly as a mom, and I have 3 teenagers, so I want to make sure that that when we take a look at how we deal with marijuana policy, and I also support decriminalization. I don't think that we should be locking up people for small amounts of marijuana. Certainly dealers of large amounts of drugs should face prison time, but we need to make sure that we are investing in drug rehabilitation programs and diversionary programs.
But this medical marijuana initiative, are you supporting it?
And then as a cancer survivor, and I've talked to many cancer patients and parents of cancer patients. My friend Elaine Geller lost her daughter to cancer, and she benefited from the use of medical marijuana. But I'm continuing to take a look. The concern that I had in the last election was that, I'm glad to see that the supporters and the sponsors of that amendment have tightened it up a little bit to address some of the concerns about prior loopholes. We want to make sure that people who truly need it have the ability to get access to it.
What is it that you're waiting for before determining? Because it seems some people will accuse you of not wanting to state an opinion before your election for fear of alienating John Morgan or others who may come out against you.
I just recently voted to make sure that veterans have the ability to get access to medical marijuana. So I have a public position. I support the use of evidence-based medical marijuana, and I'm glad to see the Obama administration just made a decision to allow for more research to be done. I share President Obama's opinion.
So that's like saying I support evidence-based sex. If there's evidence that it will make me feel good, I support it. Evidence-based medical marijuana, think about that for a second. Medical marijuana, the whole point of it is there's scientific studies showing that it helps people with whether it's, terminal illnesses or just chronic pain and other types of illnesses. That's why it's been legalized in many states. Obviously, there's a widespread campaign to legalize medicinal marijuana. But she basically says, I support evidence-based medical marijuana, which is another way of saying, I'm not giving you an answer. On the $15 minimum wage, she says that she has been, part of leading the fight on the front lines to raise the minimum wage to 15. She says she's for overturning Citizens United.
I've consistently stood up on behalf of the working people, stood side by side, fought side by side with the working people of this district, which is why I have the support of more than 50 labor unions, not only across this community and across the state, but across the country. I am a co-sponsor of the legislation that would create a $15 minimum wage. And Jim, what we need to do, you asked my opponent, how do you get this done? And he didn't have an answer for you because he's not quite sure. This is how you get it done. You reach across the aisle. Number one, you help make sure that we can take the majority back in the United States Congress, which is something that I have worked on for every year that I have been in Congress. I've supported and invested and campaigned for electing other Democrats, not just myself. I don't just focus on myself. I know that to advance our agenda, we have to be in the majority.
As far as growing the party, she hasn't grown the party. She can talk about reaching over the aisle and having a dinner party is real nice. But I'll tell you, under her leadership at the DNC, the Democrats have had historic losses. We now have the Republicans have the largest majority in the House of Representatives in 83 years.
So she's talking about, oh, if we just win back the House, we're going to get $15 minimum wage, all this. Guaranteed you, if Democrats have all chambers of government, President, Senate, House, you'll get $11.50 to $12 minimum wage. It's not going up to $15. There's a lot of Democrats who frankly don't agree with it because they're in the tank of corporations. So again, like Hillary Clinton has said many times during the campaign, like Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, oh, we just got to work across the lines. We'll get these things done. No answer. On Social Security benefits, which is very important to that area, it's Florida. Southern Florida has a lot of seniors. Tim Canova pointed out that she has not been on record for expanding Social Security benefits in that area until pretty much June and July, in the heat of her primary battle against him.
She put out a press release just a couple of days ago pointing to 6 bills and a House resolution that she has co-sponsored that would raise benefits, and I applaud her for that. She co-sponsored these in June and July, 6 of the 7. Oh, 5 of the 7, excuse me. The other one was in April.
God.
Well, this is the truth.
So he was basically making the point, you're doing things for political reasons. Canova also pointed out that she has not added her name as a co-sponsor to increase benefits for the Supplemental Security Income Program, which is basically, Social Security and aid for the poorest of the poor, senior citizens and elderly people. She didn't have an answer for that either.
Jim, the people who I have represented for all of these years, the 117,000 senior citizens, 90,000 of whom are on Social Security, many of whom only have Social Security as their sole source of income, they know that this argument is silly.
So she was very pretty much on specifics, kind of dodged and weaved, which we know, another female politician and other politicians in general, frankly, that are experts at that. And I just want to point out something the moderator said, so that you kind of have an idea where this guy was coming from, because this guy was not impartial. He cut off Tim Canova quite a few times, more so than her.
Are you really just a vessel for the basically the anti-Debbie Wasserman Schultz people around the country, the Bernie people, who are so angry at her that they want to basically use you as an instrument to attack her? You're less a candidate than you are a revenge cycle for Bernie Sanders.
I don't see that at all.
He said that in the beginning. And he pointed out that Tim Canova, most of his donations have not come from the state of Florida, but have come in out of state, which Tim Canova flipped it around and wore it as a badge of honor. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of money nationwide because this is about her leadership both nationally and in the district. People are tired of politicians like Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Another notable part of the debate, I thought, was Canova challenged her for 2 more debates, specifically to talk about issues important to the Latino and African American community, which make up about 50% of that district. She declined, saying that, the primary is only 2 to 3 weeks away, so I'll be in the district speaking directly to the voters because she's such a champion of those voters in South Florida. So she doesn't want to debate him more. Canova pointed out that they didn't get into the payday lending issue. Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been a big proponent for payday lending, which is pretty much a scheme to screw poor people, giving them easy and quick access to credit and indebting them. The banks love that. Banks love payday lending. Also didn't get really that far into the Consumer Financial Bureau, which Elizabeth Warren started. The fact that Debbie Wasserman Schultz has pretty much voted with Republicans to restrict and tie their hands. They didn't get that into depth about naming names of the banks she's getting donations from, the oil companies, all of this. It's very similar to Hillary Clinton. He kind of spoke about that generally, but didn't give names. Overall, I'm not from Florida, so the Florida pundits could kind of give their interpretation. Like I said, I think in the beginning it kind of came out a little flat. I think as he went, it got better. I think the key for Canova, in my view, and I'll be covering this when I go this weekend, is that 50% Latino and African American community. He pointed out in the debate that this district has some of the lowest turnout in all of Florida. voting turnout. So she's going to get the old senior citizens to come out. I didn't say that they had a whole exchange about Israel, and it was pretty much who could kiss Israel's ass the best, because in that district you got to be pro-Israel. It's very, very Jewish. Canova said his stepfather is from Israel. He's lived in Israel. He's worked in Israel. He's very pro-Israel. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, everything she says is Israel's the best. They do no wrong. So if you're a senior citizen and Jewish, that was a good portion for you. But basically, senior citizens, Jewish people, she's got them in the bag. Hate to say it. That's just, that is what it is. So he's got to really turn out Latinos, African Americans, young people in that district. And he might have a chance because it is one of the lower voting turnout districts. So bottom line, like Bernie always said, we will do well as the voter turnout is high. So I think Canova has a chance. I think the debate overall was good for him. I think he introduced himself well. I think she did a very nice job of obfuscating, dodging, and being very deceitful, which we expected. By the way, she only wanted this debate to be, she originally agreed to a 15-minute debate, a half hour. So, which, with commercials and stuff amounts to 15 to 18 minutes. So the fact that it was moved to an hour shows you this is not someone who wants to debate. She doesn't want to be challenged. And this guy who said to the moderator, who said, "You're less a candidate than you're a revenge cycle for Bernie Sanders." There you go. You know where he's coming from. So a few public service announcements for you. My interview with Alan Grayson, who is running for Senate in Florida. He's currently a congressman. We've added it to the main Young Turks channel. So I don't know how many views it has, but a lot. So he's running against Patrick Murphy on August 30th. That's a tight race. The Democratic establishment has tried to smear him. There's been allegations from his ex-wife of assault and these things. Never any proof. But, Chuck Schumer came out. He's got to drop out. The Patrick Murphy says, I can't even get on a debate stage with him because I can't give someone like this a platform. So he's dodging. No longer in America are you innocent until proven guilty. So Alan Grayson is challenging Patrick Murphy. I'm going to try to cover that when I'm there as well. Tim Canova, the only poll I've seen recently was that poll that his campaign actually had done independently. He was down 8%. Polling in that area, it's tough. There's not a lot of it. But again, he was down 8%. I think it's at this point, how many Latinos, young people, and African Americans could he turn out? I also think, I don't have inside information, but I have a little teeny bitty thought that possibly Bernie Sanders might go down there and campaign for him. Hopefully this weekend, because I'm going. But if that happens, obviously we'll bring more of a national attention to that race. Only helps Tim Canova. It's not like, I don't think Debbie Wasserman Schultz necessarily wants Hillary Clinton in that district, because that's just too much corruption on one stage. So, those things are happening. Also, totally unrelated, I hope you guys will tune in. I believe today, I hope you guys tune into the channel every day. But today, particularly, we're going to be posting part 1 of our interview from East Chicago, Indiana. We did a real investigative report. There's a lead crisis going on there. Shocker, it fucks over poor black people. So that's going to be a multiple video series. And it's important. I'm hoping that we could put a national spotlight on it. Unlike Flint, this is not in the national discussion yet. Pretty much East Chicago, Indiana built low-income housing with African Americans on top of lead. And there's lead underneath the ground, there's lead all over, and they plopped them down there until finally it was just uninhabitable. So at this point, who knows how many people have been sick over the years, and who knows where these African Americans are going to go, because now they're demolishing these units and forcing the people who live there out to go elsewhere because the lead number is too high. So those are the things you should watch out for on the channel. I'll be doing some more reporting from Portland this week. If you haven't subscribed, youtube.com/TYTpolitics. And yes, to the person who said you should shave, I will be trimming this disgusting grizzly beard rather soon, but I'm on vacation. Thanks a lot. Stay tuned for more later in the week.